Hello, welcome. This is Roland, and today I want to continue with my with a little discussion about burdens. People lay burdens on each other. The typical situation is someone blames someone else for something that they're guilty of themselves, and then they accuse someone else of the very thing that they are guilty of. You see that a lot with parents and kids. The parents blame the kid. They say, "Oh, you're not paying attention enough. You're not doing this enough. You're not good enough. You're not being nice enough. You're not." The very thing, you're selfish. You eat the wrong food. You don't clean your room. The very thing that parent is like. They accuse the child of. And so it's unfair. But what happens is, in these situations where someone is falsely accused, is that the person who's falsely accused usually resents the insinuation. And then resenting it. There's a funny thing about resentment. It basically destabilizes you. It knocks the feet out from under you. Like when you watch a judo match, for example, and then you see one judo master sweep his foot and just sweep the feet from right out from under someone, and then they go tumbling down. But something like that. That's what resentment does. So there you are, resenting, and suddenly you feel empty, you feel powerless, and there's a suggestion. And you don't know how to fight it, so you resent the suggestion again, and then you feel guilty for the resentment and for fighting it in the wrong way instead of with patience and grace and courage. And so what do? You actually take on the suggestion because you can't defeat it with your own ego, and you feel guilty, and because you feel guilty, you feel like you deserve whatever they accused you of. And so there's a complicated psychology involved. But just realize that when you resent an insinuation or a suggestion, then you're unable to fight it properly, to oppose it properly, and it gets inside, and then you often pick up the suggestion. So that's a way that burdens are laid upon other people. People lay their sins upon each other. They're full of hate, so they accuse someone else of being hateful. They're selfish, they accuse someone else of being selfish. They're whatever, and they accuse other people of something. And that's how they lay it upon themselves, and that is how they avoid the incriminating light of truth upon themselves by projecting it or casting it or accusing someone else of something which the other person may have been that way, but maybe not. It may be totally false. But that way they keep from being seen themselves. They keep from having to see their own wrong, from having the light of truth shine upon their own wrong, and feel their own guilt. Okay? And so they lay it on someone else. So a lot of people are really good at that. They're really good at laying their burden upon other people. You see it at all different levels. See, but people lay their work upon other people, their problem on other people. See, they accuse other people of their issue, or they give other people their issue somehow. Some mysterious way they arrange things so that the other person ends up like they are. It's bizarre, and it's almost scary, but you see it all the time. But even at the simplest level, it doesn't have to be a bit bizarre and scary. You see one person accusing another one of something that they didn't do. See? And the basic thing that is happening is that the person who's accusing the other one is getting the incriminating light off of them. So the person who's accusing the other one is getting the light from off of them and onto the other. But even within, that's how people lay their burdens upon each other. And you see this transfer occur, this transfer of sin. You even see it as for example, someone is stolen from, and then they become a thief. See? And it can be at a very basic psychological level, just simply that they want to get back what was taken from them. But usually what happens is we turn around and do it to someone weaker or smaller than ourselves or innocent. See? The perpetrator, the bully. See? Like you'll see a mom who rants and raves at her child, accusing it of something. And then the child turns around and then later on accuses his little brother of it, you see. Or when that child is an adult then accuses his kids of the same thing. See, not only is there a transfer of the suggestion, but there's also going to be a transfer of the sin and a transfer of the identity. So you have people, when they were little kids, they were molested, and then they grow up to be a molester. They don't have to. They don't always. But but sometimes they see something of that in themselves. They don't want to admit it, but it's there. Through that transfer, through the trauma, and through resenting. You see. A person is stolen from when they're a child, they grow up to be a thief. See. A person is bullied as a child and they become a bully to little ones. Maybe they were bullied as a child and they grow up and then they bully their own children. See? That type of thing. Other people police themselves. They know what it feels like to be bullied or to have been stolen from or to be violated, and they say I never want to do that to someone else. So they police themselves to make sure so that they never do it. Okay, which is good, but sometimes there's the suggestion can be still lurking inside. See, so you get the idea. So it's not good to lay burdens upon other people, but we do it all the time. We accuse them of something, or they do some little thing, and then we make a big deal over it, as if they had really done something awful. And then through our overreaction to what they did, then they pick up the suggestion that they did something really bad. Okay? Or they can become so angry and resentful toward the huge overreaction that was done to them, that they then develop a compulsion to do that very thing in order to see and then to judge someone else overreacting. See, because now their life has come down to depend to revolve around judging and hating other people for their reaction. So that's why if you see someone that's acting, you see a homeless person or you see someone acting strangely, then you mustn't judge them, see, or stare at them as if they were bad or something. Because when you do, all you're doing is feeding. You're doing exactly what they want. They want someone to judge them and to look down upon them, because then they can feel the resentment and the hate and feel superior by judging the one who's judging them. You see what I mean? So you have that aspect. But there are a lot of people in this world, a lot of people who are decent, and they don't want to lay burdens on other people. Maybe most people are that way. Most people are rather decent. They don't want to lay burdens upon other people. They don't want to. They don't want to do unto others what was done to them. And so they become very mild, and they become I was going to say the victim, but it's kind of a strong term. But they become the recipient, the dumping. They let other people dump on them. See, because they don't want to dump on others. They don't even want to. They don't want to dump on the one that's dumping on them, and they don't want to turn around and dump on anyone else. So they get dumped. They just get dumped on, and they just keep it all inside. You know, you've heard the old joke about someone that was walking around with a sign on his back that said, "Hit me." Well, a lot of people are that way. They're used to being the victim, see, the one who gets dumped on. And then other people, especially bullies of the world, they can sense it. And then they do dump on you. They dump work on you, whatever, see. And then you don't want to do wrong to others or dump on them, so you just take it. But that also has something to do with resentment, with resenting the other person, because the resentful person accepts the sin, accepts the burden, accepts the dumping. Okay, accepts it, and then lives, and then some kind of a psychic life revolves around accepting the burdens of other people, taking on the burdens of other people. See, some parents are very good at dumping everything on their kids. See, the parent dumps all the wrong on their kids, and the parent seems fine, and the kid walks around like an old person with all that aging before their time, and maybe even sick, and with a burden of what the parents have laid upon them. The trip, that's a term that they used to use, remember, a long time ago, back in the 60s and 70s, they used to say a trip, laying a trip on someone. Okay. So you see the kids, but once that pattern is established, then that child goes out in the world, and then that's kind of the way they are. And they can feel good for it. The other thing is that person can feel like they're good. They're a good person for taking others' burdens upon themselves. See, a lot of people are that way, but you see, it's a mistake. See, when you take another's wrong, another's burden, another's sin, another's, yes, I'll just say wrong, just a generic term, wrong, upon yourself, and bear it. Well, then what happens is that they get off scot-free. See? You know, it's like the old joke, you heard two people standing in line, and one of them said to the other one is, the one had his elbow poking in the other person's eye. Okay, and then the person whose eye was being poked in said, "Excuse me, is my eye hurting your elbow?" See, that person is used to taking abuse. A lot of people take a lot of abuse, which is not good. Okay, but they can actually believe that they're good for taking the abuse. They feel like a martyr, or they feel like they're helping another person. See. But by taking the abuse, they get off the person, the abuser, or the one who's dumping on you. Let's just keep it. We don't have to say abuser, although it can be that. But let's just say someone who's dumping on you. They dump their work upon you. Let's say at work, in the workplace. See, some person knows that you're the one that will do it, so they don't do it. So they're irresponsible, and they dump it on you, and then you do it. Well, you can feel you resent them, see, but you can also feel like you're quite a nice person for doing all of this, see. But I want to get back to the point that I was making, and that is that a person can get used to taking all their parents' problems upon themselves, or their spouse, or anyone's taking it on themselves, being dumped on, and then just taking it, bearing it. And then the other person gets away scot-free. See? Not only do they dump on you, but they get away with dumping on you because you don't speak up to them. So they're getting away with murder. They're getting away with something wrong. That's an old expression, to get away with murder. It's an old expression. In other words, you're getting away with something that's not right. See? And they don't have to say, and they never have to look because you don't speak up to, because you don't say no. See, without resentment. See, you don't know how yet, so you have to watch some of my videos and learn how. But you don't say no without resentment, and then they're used to dumping on you and feeling okay about themselves. A similar syndrome is the person who does something wrong, and then maybe you mention it, and then they act like nothing happened. Okay, or they do something wrong and they never apologize. They never really say they're sorry. Or if they do say they're sorry, then it's phony. They don't really mean it. Oh, I'm sorry, but they don't really mean it. Okay? Did I offend you in some way? Well, if I offended you, then I'm sorry. See, they don't really mean it. But mostly they don't even say that. They just go about their business and they act as if nothing happened. They act as if nothing happened. You see that in families. You see it at work. And so once again, they get away with something, and they never have to look at themselves. They never have to look at themselves. So the bottom line of all of this is that it's good if they have to look. It's good for the person who's been doing wrong, something unfair, something unjust, something inappropriate, something indiscreet, that they should have to look at themselves. It's good if they have to look at themselves, see their own wrong, bear their own sin, and suffer for it. See, that's fair. If they do wrong, then they should bear the consequences for their own wrong. Not you. You shouldn't have to bear the consequences for their wrong, for their indiscretion, for their selfishness, for their whatever. So you have to look at, you have to watch some of my videos. I'm not going to talk about it today. I don't have the time. I have a video called Speaking Up for Yourself. I think I have a series of videos. I made them a long time ago on my YouTube. How to speak up for yourself. It's in some of my books too, but it's very important. You have to learn how to speak up for yourself without resentment. That's the key. So first you have to let go of the resentment. You undoubtedly have been resenting the person who's been dumping on you. See? And the other thing is a lot of times the one that started it, the whole thing, was your parent. Maybe your mother. When you were a little child, she dumped all over you. And but don't try to speak up to her right away. See, she's the master bully that started the whole thing. So wait until you've meditated for a while, and you've begun to speak up little things. See, little things. You're standing in line at Starbucks, and someone cuts in front of you, and then say, "Excuse me, I was here first." See, just little things. Learn to start speaking up about little things. Then the day will come when you'll be able to face the one who started the whole thing. But first you must have forgiven her. That's very important, meaning you have to let go of the resentment toward her. So just wait. Wait until you are quite certain. And I also cover speaking up to people from your past who really did you wrong and got you start, and the ones who really did you wrong, like a parent who dumped on you, for example, okay, or someone else that did something wrong to you. Well, but wait until you become well grounded, or you've been meditating. You're letting go of resentment, and you've let go of the resentment toward them. Okay. Because if you haven't let go of the resentment yet, then when you face them, you'll be just like the little kid, and they can push your buttons. They know how to push all your buttons, and they'll push your buttons, and you'll be just like a little kid again, and they'll dominate you, and you'll resent them, and then you're just worse off than before. So just wait until the day when you can face them now as an adult with having forgiven them, and now. See, you can say, when I was a little kid, you did such and such to me, and then list out the things they did. And I hated you for it, but I don't hate you anymore. I just want you to be sorry, to admit you're wrong and be sorry. Okay? And then, undoubtedly at that point, they'll say, oh, you liar, it never happened, and you're ungrateful, and blah, blah, blah. And then you say, well, you know my number. You can call me when you're ready to apologize and be sorry, and mean it. And then walk away. See? Walk away with your head held high, shake the dust from your sandals, and move on with your life. Okay? See? Then you won't triumph. Okay? But just, I think I've given you some very good food for thought in this little video here. So I'm going to stop at this point. Very good food for thought. These video lectures are quite good. You can watch them again. If you see one that is meaningful, then you can watch it again. The second time you'll see more, and third time even more. Okay? Because you don't get this type type of deep metapsychology, you hardly can find it anywhere. Bits and pieces here and there, you know, little good advice here and there, but I put the whole thing together, okay? So, hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you in my next video, Lord willing, of course.